Hey guys, welcome to 6 Minutes for Tuesday, August 9th. I'm Jason Fulmore, SC Russell, and today is your Georgia 6A preseason team rankings. Yes, Lucas, DeSilva and I, Fat and Scrappy, got together and talked a little bit about the 6A group of teams and who we could expect to see kind of emerge this season in the new reclassed 6A. So what you'll see following is a short method section that you can see in all these that Lucas and I discussed. And then the specific 6A, his 6A top 10 for the preseason, which, yeah, it'll likely change. But with the new classifications, it's always fun to kind of peek in and kind of see what who might be the top 10 teams. And whether you agree with Lucas or you disagree with Lucas, yeah, make sure you share your thoughts and post a comment. Let him know what he got right and what he got wrong. So here's the method section, and then the methods, and then on to the top 10. Welcome to 6 Minutes. I'm Jason Fulmore, SC Russell, and today here with Fat and Scrappy's Lucas DeSilva.
Welcome.
Welcome
to my home, actually. So welcome to my home.
We are breaking down the rankings, really early rankings.
Really early. Kind of calling my shot really early here, but
all right. So these will be the team rankings, and what we'll do is we'll go with after this video. I'll add a different video talking about specific classifications. But we're opening this classification, or opening this video, and opening all the videos with a general methods, right?
Explanation.
How in the world, because Lucas doesn't do duels and tournament rankings. He does one ranking. And for some reason, he's using decimal points. I mean, I didn't know Lucas knew decimal points.
I don't. You ask my math teachers. I don't. I'm not very prolific with them. But so what's funny about this is this is great storytelling because the viewer knows what video they're watching. We don't. They could be watching 3A for all we know. But
that's right. They could
anyway, so basically, the way I do this is I look at a team we'll look at a case randomly, Buford. I'll give them a score for duels at a 5 with decimal points. And I'll give them a score at a 5 for individual with decimal points based on their performances, their lineup, and as the season goes on, these scores will fluctuate. So this is going to be a fluid list. This is currently going into the season with what we know. 5 points is the maximum for duels, 5 points is the maximum for individual. Put those two together, you get their power score out of 10.
Okay.
And then it's just pretty simple, highest score in 1, so on and so forth.
Now, can two teams, say Camden and Buford, both get a 4.9?
Yes.
Both get a 4.8 or whatever the case is?
So the way I think it is when it comes to duels...
So it's not like you get a certain points for first and second and third.
No. Like if you're in duels and you're beating most teams by 45, 50, if you're just dominating teams, you're going to get a 5. There could be 3 or 4 teams. In fact, I think I have 4 teams in my list across the 7 classes that got a 5 in duels. I think there's 4 of them, if I remember correctly. So it just kind of depends on... It's relativity mainly based on how they do against, their competition.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna now jump into one of the classifications. Hope you enjoy it. And
which one is it?
Yeah.
Same way as it used to be.
Stop.
Hammer time.
Hey guys, no. No, I tell you to stop because it makes it easier for me to cut.
Oh shit, my bad. All right.
Stop for a second. Hey guys, all right, so you have tuned in for 6A. You've heard Lucas's methodology, which, well, it's Lucas in math, so we'll see how it all plays out, but, what's 6? 6? And that's pretty much how we count. So, we've got our top 10 in 6A, and you know what? Just as an overview, right? Because we don't know if somebody will have watched 7A.
Yeah, we don't know.
Right? But, or some of the other classifications. But just as an overview, 6A, I don't want to say it became weaker, but we moved a ton of super talented teams from 6A up to 7A, right?
I think calling 6A weak would be a bit of a slight. But I
agree.
Well, a fair slight at that in the outside looking in. What I would call it is it's the class that has the most to prove. When it comes to the average ranking on this list, they had the second lowest average ranking of the top 10 teams, only lower than 1A. And I think that is because there is such a vast amount of talent that has now went poofdo into the nether realm from 6A.
Does that mean that there's a lot of teams that are in the hunt?
Yeah, I think 6A is arguably the most wild west A in the state, as in the sense of you could name about 5-6 teams that you think is going to win a state title to me, and I won't call you crazy.
All right. Well, you'll call me crazy anyway. But
yeah, because you
anyway.
are.
All right, so here we go with the bottom 5 of the top 10. As you can see
on the graphic,
we've got Etowah at number 10, Noonan at 9, 8 is Blessed Trinity, 7 is Woodward Academy, and 6 is Lee County. So let's just talk about the bottom 5 here kind of in general. Yes. So how did you come up with any of them? Were any of them a surprise? What do you think?
Well, one of them was a surprise to me is Woodward Academy. I thought that they would have ended up in the top 3, top 4, but what happened with Woodward is, and it's what happened with a couple teams in 6A, and another team that we will call out later in North Forsyth, they had a lot of talent. They also had a lot of older talent. So we know the bag of coaching you get out of Jeff Reagan and the crew. I would make the case, active high school coaches in the state, he has a very big case for the number 1 spot. He has a case.
Right. Okay.
But beyond that, there is a lot of turnover in that school.
Well, I mean, you can't. I mean, look, you lost Singleton, Filipowicz, Killick, McBride. I mean, you lost the lion's share of your points.
Yes.
So it really is going to come down to which of the young hammers
step
up, and get it done.
And there's a number of them that can. That's the thing. It is number 7 on most of my lists. Kind of accidentally became my kind of prove it spot, where a lot of teams fell or rose, and there's questions about them, but they could really prove it to us. I mean, by the end of the year, if you tell me Woodward has a trophy, I won't, that's believable. If they develop, the depth is still there, if they could find 1 or 2 guys to be true blue hitters, that could be a thing. And they come in with a 5.8, but that's a strong 5.8, if that makes sense to anybody. It was a very evenly dispersed 5.8.
All right, so I'm going to ask you the same thing I asked you in 7A, and that is, was there a team that fell outside the top 10 that you felt like was right there? And we haven't released the top 5 yet. So, but let's go ahead and, I mean, was there a team off the top of your head? And it's okay to say no.
I need to go. No, I think there was. I need to go back and just check something. Oh yeah, Pope and Alexander. I thought both them would have fell into the top 10. Just from previous history, Pope, you're getting back Aiden Karpinski this season. Yeah. Alexander, we know what they are. They were dynastic in 6A for a couple of years, and they were the Empire. And now the Empire is not even in the top 10. And I think that just came from turnover. And that is the way of high school athletics. That is the way.
And Coach Moisener's now at Temple.
Obviously.
Right.
Which is a move. And
right.
That's something we will obviously talk about when we get there. But
the team that I'm glad you brought up was Pope. Because for me, that's a team that I'm surprised isn't in that top 10, given some of the people that are, they can push them pretty high.
I believe, if I remember, I'd have to go back and look at my notebook. I believe that they had like a 3.7 in individual, but just when I looked at their dual results and I looked at...
You think they're going to struggle a little bit?
I think at least, unless the depth grows, unless that the guys who aren't your Aiden Karpinskis of the world and your hitters, if they don't necessarily make the right improvements, I think they could be struggling in duels a good bit. So that was where... They just didn't have a lot of points. I think they finished with like a 4.1 in total, I think, if I remember correctly.
So actually, this is where I love the fact that we have duels, because I think that it is a really good example of why you need 14, 16, 17, really.
Oh, yeah.
People in the room who can do the job.
Yeah.
And the job, again, like we've talked about before, sometimes the job is not getting pinned.
Oh, yeah.
Sometimes the job, but you can't give up forfeits. You could have 6 of the state champions, individual state champions, and if you give up 8 forfeits, you lose.
And that's what makes teams. If you saw 7A, that's what makes a team like Camden in the run they've had, Archer in years past, Alexander in years past. That's what makes them so special. Is when you toe the line with them and you see them in the bracket, you are going to have 14 guys. They may not have your blue-collar prospects all the time, but they have 14 guys that are going to fight and claw for every team point, and they're going to be well-coached. They're going to be well-conditioned. They're going to have the intangibles.
So you just said the things that I think actually best characterize our number 5 team in North Forsyth.
Yes.
Right?
That's a beautiful segue.
They have kids at every single weight. They're always going to come to wrestle. They're very well coached.
Yes.
And they're your number 5 team.
Yes, they came in with a 6.8, actually a tie with Lassiter, but due to average points, Lassiter did get the nod. North Forsyth.
So that's a foreshadow. Number 4 is Lassiter.
Sorry, they have the same points, so I kind of just threw them together. But North Forsyth at number 5, well coached, well conditioned, good intangibles. They have a fan base that cares. When you go to Macon, you see a sea of black and purple when North Forsyth is on the mat.
Yeah, you do.
Even on years where they're not placing, when they are, on the weaker side by their terms, you still will see 20, 25 people repping the Raiders, and it means a lot to an athlete. And I think it helps their case in a lot of ways. And North Forsyth, in this kind of a season in 6A, they could very easily make a run at a trophy and a high trophy at that. I'm high on the Raiders.
All right, so Lassiter's 4.
Lassiter, the Trojans.
They lose Pannone.
Yep, you lose Pannone, but and this is in previous years. He was the last of the big 3 when they had him, Chambers, and Weston. You lose them, but But
you have Brickley.
Yes, you have Brickley.
Riley McGillicott.
Of course. You have the guys that can bang, and Level Up being right down the road is a great training center that a lot of their guys frequent. We know that. And we know the bag that Lassiter, when they are on, they're on. We know what they can bring to the table. And this is more a question of prove it. You have a lot of young guys. This is not your father's Lassiter. So it's a great opportunity to see how will they develop.
All right. So speaking of graduates, South Paulding, right, who I think has maybe the best heavyweight in the Southeast, certainly the best heavyweight probably in Georgia.
That's a call.
Right?
I won't disagree, but that's a call.
So he is back for South Paulding, but Seymour is gone.
Yeah.
Well, one of the Seymours is gone.
Because I think they have 19.
19, okay.
I think. I could be wrong.
And South Paulding comes in at number 3.
With
right?
an 8.1, a strong gap between them and Lassiter. South Paulding, talk about a team that's been consistent. Past 5-6 years, they have continuously been in the hunt, always wrestling tough, always have had well-coached. Again, when we talk about this, well-coached, well-conditioned. They have the intangibles. They know what it takes to win. It's a team that South Paulding is a very interesting team this season, and it's kind of funny if you did watch the 7A rankings how North and South Paulding ended up on the same spot. That did not happen on purpose, by the way. That was genuinely just the way the rankings fell for me. So I'm very interested in South Paulding and seeing where they go this season.
All right, so now you've got the most intriguing for me number 2 team around, and that is Jackson County.
Jackson County.
You have them at number 2. Tell me why. I mean, what is it about Jackson County that tells you that they are the team?
It's funny. They've kind of had a meteoric rise in the past 3 years. We see them continuously on the uptrend. Maybe not necessarily in finishes, but if you look at the way they wrestle, their team themselves, they are scrappy.
Mm-hmm.
On brand. They're scrappy. They're tough. They're willing to wrestle you in the phone booth. They're not scared to get chippy if it takes it. And they have the talent. They have a great young core, and I'm losing names because let me explain something to y'all. Some of these rankings took me a while, and we'll get there when we get there. But we'll get there later. But just for me, Jackson County, in my opinion, this season in such a classification where there's so many questions,
hasn't a chance.
They could be the North Paulding of 6A this year. They could be that, or they could be the team that come the start of the season, they're wrestling tough, and as the year goes on, we're like, oh, they beat them. Oh, they beat them? And it just goes on and on. All of a sudden, we could be going into February looking at Jackson County as a true blue title contender in 6A.
So our number 1 team, not our number 1 team, excuse me, your number 1 team is Coach Bartolotta's crew out of Brunswick. Let's be honest. Brunswick has been part of the top 3, top 4, 6A teams for much of the last, 3, 4, 5
about
years?
A handful of years.
Right? And now they're 1, according to you.
To me, they're in the driver's seat, and it comes from No Buford. Alexander doesn't look the same. South Paulding, there's more questions about. And I had the opportunity. Brunswick has come down to Bruton Parker a handful of times to get some workouts. And I've seen about 10 of their kids, and they can bang. And this is coming from lightweights, Bartolotto's son. This is coming from, their 80-something pounder who is a freak athlete. I cannot think of his name. He just committed to us. Bear with me. I'm sorry, brother. Why am I losing my damn mind? But just Brunswick as a whole, they have guys that can wrestle. They've been at the top in the sense of they've been there. They've smelt it. They've been in striking distance. They've seen what it takes to win. And now you're in a really fun spot because the Red Seas have kind of parted. There is no more Buford Wolves. There is
the opportunity exists.
Yes, the opportunity now truly exists for a team like
not
Brunswick.
Not that it didn't exist before, but the path was much more difficult.
Yes, the path to least resistance to the championship now is a lot more seeable. When you look at a team that could possibly go from last season, I believe they finished 3rd and 4th, they could finish with a double one this season. It's possible.
Well, and that was going to be my last question as it related to this was, did they get the highest ranking or points for both dual and tournament?
They had the highest points for both duels and individuals. If I remember correctly, they had a 4.2 in individual and then a 4.8, I believe, in duels. I could be mistaken. I think that they are a better dual team than individual team, and that just comes from having depth. They have, from what Bartolotto's telling me and from what I've seen, they have 16, 17 kids that could bang at the starting level if they had to. So when you do that and you got 3-4 extra spots where you can make moves, now all of a sudden finding the matchups you need in an important dual meet becomes really doable. And one more thing, you look at their region, not to say a weak region.
They have an opportunity.
There's
no Richmond Hill anymore.
It is a much more comfortable region to get through, smoother. You can maybe rest some of your guys heading into the sectional dual meets, which you love sectional dual meets. Because we love the decisions of Mr. Doncourt here.
All right.
Anyways, point being, I think that they have a really good shot this year of making a deep, and important run to the championship. It is very doable for the Brunswick Pirates.
So here is your top 10 one more time, according to Fat and Scrappy.
Brunswick, Jackson County, South Paulding, Lassiter, North Forsyth, Lee County, Woodward Academy, Blessed Trinity, Noonan, and Etowah. Shout out to Noonan, by the way. Look at that.
Yeah, no doubt. All right.
Tough team, too.
So I know you have to disagree with him here.
So
if you disagree, make sure you send a comment. Tell him where he's wrong.
Hey, Jeff, by the way, you still got my phone number. I know that's going to happen, so I'm not even like, all right.
So tell him where he's wrong. But again, it's nice to have the conversation, talk about the different teams, especially these new classifications. It's going to be a fun year. We're going to revisit this just before the season starts, see if any minds have been changed.
See after the Grappler Super 32, I will in all likelihood be in person at the Grappler again this season. So
it's in Michigan this year.
Yeah, I know.
Are you going to Michigan?
My source at Georgia Grappler has informed me that they're going to do their best to be sure that I get out there. Shout out my boy, you know who you are. I'm not gonna pull back Batman's mask here, but it'll be interesting to go there again, see it with my own eyes. Because last year my rankings changed having went to Grappler. So
right.
We'll see it again. And like I said this at the start of, I don't know if I said this in a video or in the intro. This is going to be a very fluid list as the season goes on. Teams' results and duels and individuals, their ranking will go up and down accordingly.
Okay. So thank you for joining us for the 6A really early rankings.
Preseason. Double preseason, hell.
And look for some new rankings later in the fall before the season starts. Thanks, guys. See ya. Bye.